Welcome to Defense Talks and our executive video spotlight series. I'm here with Jim Westdorp, Chief Technologist with Ciena Government Solutions. Jim, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Wyatt.
So I'd like to start with the question of, as the joint force pushes towards JADC2, what do you think will be the key to successfully delivering a seamless transfer of data among the services for quicker and better decision-making in a future fight?
Yeah, sure. So, Ciena, we're a network equipment and services provider, so my perspective is from that lens. But there's really two things that I would say that are key to enabling the future JADC2 capabilities. And the first is what I'll call converged infrastructure. So when you're thinking about the network and all of the elements that have to talk in the network, today and historically, there have been a whole bunch of disparate networks that, yes, they talk to each other, but they were fundamentally separate networks which were talking to each other in various different ways. And it really didn't promote seamless transfer of information because they were, at the end of the day, disparate networks. So it's really key to be able to take all that information and put it on what I call converged infrastructure, basically a single physical network that still has the ability to separate different missions and different users when needed, but also allow them to talk as well. So converged infrastructure is very important. And then one of the things that we touched a little bit on a panel earlier today that we didn't get to explore too much is, of course, interoperability and standards, very important. You can't have joint information exchange without those standards. But a key point, I would say, is as we're deciding which standards to make part of JADC2, we need to be conscious that, yes, we have to have standards, but specifying all the standards, right? The reflexive action is, okay, well, let's just take all the standards that exist, all the RPC, RFCs for the internet, and just say we got to be interoperable with that. Yes, that gives you the maximal interoperability, but it also gives you a very challenging problem in terms of actually, requiring all the equipment to be, maximally interoperable. So I would say the other thing is being smart and thoughtful about which standards you require for JADC2.
Great point. And then also, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on what emerging technologies you're seeing that you think will have the greatest impact on DoD's mission over the coming decade.
Yeah. So, classic, SDN, AI, 5G, those things are all going to be very important. But again, from the lens as a networking provider, I would say that one of the things that the industry overall is helping to enable is what I'll call, ubiquitous networking or almost ubiquitous capacity. Historically, network capacity was constrained, and so there are all these protocols, and actually a lot of missions were designed around the fact that you couldn't get data rapidly between locations. They're putting things on disk drives and mailing them across the country, the sneaker net, right? And the technology now is to the point where, as long as you have, fiber optic and some specific physical infrastructure, you can get almost unlimited bandwidth. And what we're starting to see is the technologies that were originally developed for high-speed terrestrial comms, they've migrated now to ultra long distance, undersea comms. They're actually now migrating into space. So the space segment has started to get much higher bandwidths than were available in the past. And I think at some point we're going to start to see space to ground, which typically is radio, microwave, but we're going to start to see optical there. So the enhancements in capacity that we've gotten in the normal fiber optic terrestrial network are going to be more widespread and almost ubiquitous, and it will allow us to solve problems that you couldn't solve before, or that you would solve differently because bandwidth was limited, but with effectively unlimited bandwidth almost to the edge. There's really a whole new class of solutions that we can solve, and real problems that we can solve for the warfighter that we couldn't otherwise. And so I think that's going to really change the way things work for the military and how information is disseminated over the next decade or so.
Well, Jim Westdorp, thank you so much for stopping by here and actually sharing those insights. I think they're very important. We always hear about software, but those additional capabilities we hear less often. So thank you for sharing that and being with us here at Defense Talks.
Great, thank you very much.